Get ready, because you're about to see Jasmine Crockett absolutely short circuit after she pretty much confuses herself and trips over her own feet while she's supposedly grilling some people during a congressional witness hearing. Folks, I think you're going to like it. As I'm sure you know, Crockett is not the sharpest tool in the shed. And you're going to see a great example of that right now. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. But first, do me a big favor, like our video and also share it around. That way we can keep bringing you all this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
First of all, I want to get the elephant out of the room. Just to be clear, both of you provided deposition testimony, and in your depositions, neither one of you ever stated that President Joe Biden interfered with your investigations, correct?
The transcript doesn't include that, no.
Yeah, the transcript does not include that.
Nor does it include that Merrick Garland interfered with your investigations, correct?
The transcript does not say that, no.
Thank you. The reason that I say that is because it's the insinuation that this committee is trying to make, or at least one side of this committee is trying to make, is that for some reason there was interference, and my colleagues continue to make sure that they outline the fact that this investigation actually started under the Trump administration. So that's the reason about who appointed who comes up. But at the end of the day, we have no evidence whatsoever that the president nor the Attorney General of the United States interfered. But I also want to make sure that we outline some legal principles, since we've got so many newfound prosecutors today on this committee. Number one, just to be clear, just because you investigate something, it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a conviction, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay. In fact, in our criminal justice system, you are cloaked in a presumption of innocence. That is what happens under the Constitution, okay? So we all have a role to play. Your role is investigative, correct?
Correct.
All right. So then you have an AUSA, who usually is the one that is responsible for taking the evidence. Actually, they probably have an investigator in their office. There's usually an investigator that is directly within their office that will review any documentation that you provide, and then they will sit down and talk to the AUSA's office about recommendations, like what the charges will look like and things like that. Is that not correct?
If that's correct, I've never seen that.
Okay.
Mr. Sharpley, the U.S. justice system requires that charges be filed and thus kick off an investigation, and then that soon thereafter you face a conviction or punishment due to a decision by a jury of your peers. Is that correct? Oh, that's correct. Okay, thank you. Now that we've stated the obvious, next question. In order to secure the oogly boogly of the U.S. justice system, you have to have a women of color direct and call habeas corpus with writ, and then do 10 jumping jacks facing southeast. Is that correct? What?
There is a level after you get done with your investigation in which the U.S. Attorney's Office then will look at the evidence that you've provided, and they will make decisions, correct?
Yes, and they all four assigned attorneys agreed with recommending felony and misdemeanor tax charges.
I heard your testimony before. I'm not going to dispute that. The difference is I've done the defense side of this before. So as far as I'm concerned, it sounds like a sweetheart deal.
How long until she brings up Donald Trump? Let's see.
Because I've never pled anyone to every single count of a federal indictment in the first place, unless they only had one count. I have always negotiated, and unlike on the state level, I typically do my negotiations a lot of times before there's even an indictment, because a lot of times my clients are actually turning evidence over and all kinds of things. But the thing is, those conversations have never taken place with an investigator. They always take place with the U.S. attorney. So the point is, you don't have the ultimate charging authority. The people that did, they decided to do what they decided to do for whatever reasons, correct?
So in my experience, I've always been a part of that, at that table, talking to the AUSA and talking about the charging decisions. So that's not accurate to say that I'm not,
so for this
investigator is not involved in that
So
process.
this time it was a little different for you, and that's why you felt as if something was wrong. But I want to get to something else really quickly. I want to talk about what we should be prosecuting. We should be looking at the fact that in 2017, Trump's first year in office, he also made $6.5 million from China, his tax returns show.
Boom! There it is. I love it. She looked so ridiculous with whatever point she was trying to prove. I don't even know what she was trying to say. If anybody can decode Jasmine Crockett's foreign language in the comments, please let me know. And then she just had to pivot to the big bad orange man. Oh no, whatever shall we do?
The source of the China payments is not clear from the returns. The payments were a surprise since Trump is an outspoken critic of the $5.8 million that Hunter Biden made. The difference is Trump was our president when he made this money from China, whereas I'm sure you would agree with me, Hunter Biden has always been a private citizen. We've got a lot of other stuff. In fact, it's clear that Trump never paid more than $750 in taxes for, I want to say, a total of like 2 years of his taxes, which is absolutely insane. But we also know that it showed that Trump claimed large cash donations to charities, but the report said the IRS did not verify them. The report also said that while Trump's tax filings were large and complicated, the IRS does not appear to have signed experts to work on them. That is shameful. In addition to that, we heard testimony earlier that talked about whether or not you executed a search warrant under Section 913.420 of the DOJ's Justice Manual. It specifically states that when searching the premises of an attorney that is the subject of an investigation, prosecutors are expected to take the least intrusive approach consistent with vigorous and effective law enforcement. It's kind of what they did for Trump when they gave him a number of opportunities to turn over the documents, our national secrets, that he kept in the toilet. But he chose not to, and that's why he is facing federal charges down in Florida. And finally, I just want to make sure that we clear up something about the Central Park 5, because I don't think my colleague from the other side of the aisle understands that not only were they found to be not guilty, they were paid $41 million in a 2014 settlement because their civil rights in that lawsuit were violated. In addition to that, we do know that one of the Central Park 5 now serves on city council.
Well, that's great that one of those disgusting criminal thugs is on city council. But anyways, before we go down that rabbit hole with that red herring, I want to address something very disingenuous that Crockett said earlier. Namely, when she said that Hunter Biden is just a private citizen, with the implication that it's ridiculous to investigate him and that they're not, I don't know, throwing Trump in prison over nothing or something like that. It's not about Hunter Biden that people actually care about or why they're investigating him, truly. Yes, he's implicated in that he probably was doing some kind of shady stuff, but what's really more important is the relation to his father, Joe Biden, because unlike Hunter Biden, Joe Biden was not a private citizen. He was a president of the most powerful country in the world. Doesn't everybody remember that email about, oh, what about 10 for the big guy? Let's dive into that, actually. So, there was actually a really good article from the News National Desk about this, where it talked about, and I'm going to read from it now, 2 International Revenue Service investigators who probe Hunter Biden's taxes suggested in an interview released Tuesday that the federal government treated him differently than in other cases due to the looming 2020 presidential election. Greg Shapley and Joseph Ziegler, right, we know Shapley's right there in this video, who investigated the case, blah, 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 told the CBS News reporter that the IRS required investigators to obtain more approval for actions in Biden's case when compared to the probes of other suspects. When it was Hunter Biden, it required additional approvals for almost every single thing, for every single thing that we did, Shapley said. Meanwhile, the local businessman, I didn't need any special permissions. I just go and do the investigation. And then on to the big guy part, they said that, one of the most notable discoveries was that a former business partner suggested earmarking 10 held by H for the big guy, which is believed to be 10% of a proposed joint venture. Shapley told investigators that the big guy is a reference to Biden. Surprise, surprise. Going back to the degenerates of the Central Park 5, they obviously did it, okay? There was a really heinous attack on a woman. She ended up being raped, and they got convicted. And then people cried racism. Yeah, no, I don't believe that.
Salam. So, I ask unanimous consent that I allow this
without objection to order, and the lady's time's expired. But would the lady yield to a quick question?
So who?
Would you yield to a question?
Yes.
You made the argument that Trump received $6 million from China or something, and Hunter Biden received the money from China. Do you know exactly what Hunter Biden did to receive the money from China? Because that's something we've had a hard time trying to figure out. I think I know what Trump's businesses were. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just know what his businesses are. I don't know what the Biden's businesses are.
And you don't know what it's not.
I'm sorry?
And you don't know what it's not either.
But what I'll say.
So you have no idea why or why not he received that money.
What I will say is,
You have no evidence about it.
Can I submit this MSNBC or this NBC article for the record as well?
Without objection, so ordered.
And I will say that in this article, it specifically says that the source of a number of Trump's monies, it was unclear. He just said that he did have businesses there. He did say that he had opened some bank accounts in China, but they could not find the source of the monies that were paid to him from China.
The monies, dog, his monies. What?
Chair recognizes Mr. Turner from Kansas for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here today. There's a lot of information. Let's try to quickly lay this out for the American people, okay? So quick answers.
And folks, that wraps up our video for today. What do y'all think, guys? Let us know. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to comment below and share your thoughts. Also, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, and that way we can make sure that we see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys. God bless.